Thanks for choosing this free Anfield Index podcast. If you'd prefer to listen to this or any of our other shows without adverts, then now's the time to check out Anfield Index Pro. With AI Pro, you can supercharge your entire listening experience. You'll not only get all of our podcasts without the ads, but you'll have them far faster with our quick publish feature available exclusively for subscribers. AI Pro also puts you in the heart of our sound studio, with an option to listen to many of our shows live and interact with the podcasters in real time as the shows are recording. Upgrading couldn't be easier. AI Pro is available on all popular podcast platforms, and we have our own apps for Apple and Android. Just head on over to AnfieldIndexPro.com and get started today.
Hello and welcome to the Transfer Roundup show. As you can tell by my horrid voice compared to Trev's, it's Guy. Trev and Dave couldn't get their schedule sorted this week, so I had to step in for Trev, but I cat's out the bag there. I'm with Dave this time. How you doing, Dave?
Okay, this Butch and Sundance ride again, eh, pal?
Absolutely. A bit of throwback to the early summer, when Liverpool actually did stuff. That might be a good omen. Probably not. But as we always do, we'll start with the Liverpool stuff. I mean, we don't really expect much to happen, but Klopp did say the squad wouldn't really change unless we're selling anyone or people got injured. And in the last few pre-season games, and obviously the Community Shield and the Strasbourg game on the Sunday after, we have had a couple injuries. Ox apparently out for months rather than weeks.
Yeah.
Jones just randomly had a moon boot and had crutches. I don't know how that happened. And Konate, I think Klopp said he didn't fear that being anything too serious, but he did get taken off as a precaution in that Strasbourg game. But do you feel like any of them are that drastic? Because if you're picking out the midfield options that, well, Klopp doesn't want any missing, but if you wanted any of them missing, you probably would say it would be Ox and probably Curtis Jones, because let's be honest, Milner's probably for fifth choice above Jones and maybe even Elliott.
Yeah, it's a weird one. We almost feel like we're reaching, though, if we're honest, don't we? It's like you said, we've hung on to that unless someone wants to leave, which we're not hearing anything, or the injuries. And now, exactly as you said, we're thinking, right, Ox is major. But then there's the side of, but we always thought we'd have to be getting the wages off the book, as we'd said before. So that brings that downside. Jones and Konate, weird one, like you said. Jones just appears at the Strasbourg game with the moon boot all of a sudden. Klopp says afterwards, we don't think it's too serious, but it's, as his favourite phrase, it's not cool, so we'll have to see on the scan. Konate the same. He mentioned they think they caught it early enough, but it's on the scan. It's just weird, Guy. It just feels like we're almost going to have to wait till, tomorrow and the Fulham press conference to actually get an update, because nothing's really coming out, is it, at all? So, I'm kind of hoping, taking that it's not too bad for both of them. Let's be honest, don't really want to be getting into big injury territory just as the season's about to start. The flip side to that, mate, if we're honest, is unless something drastic has happened, it's hard to see it now, isn't it, really? Let's be honest.
Well, that's the thing. I think it'd probably take both of them injuries being somewhat serious, and before Ox's injuries, there was rumours he was getting sold anyway. I mean, West Ham, I think a few West Ham ITKs were saying, I think a 10 mil bid was going in, but then it was seemingly at least 2 months till he's back, so that'd be a silly signing for West Ham in that case. But and Jones, if it's not too serious, but as I said, it's probably your 6th and 7th midfielders, if that. Konate, we don't have last season's centre-back depth. Well, we do at the min, because Nat Phillips is still here, but I think something came out that his price may be coming down. So we obviously want him sold just for cash in whilst we can. But we still have 2 world-class centre-backs and Gomez. If we ever let him play with Van Dijk again, he might get back to the level he was. And not with Adrian. But we have obviously had the Bobby to Juve chatter in recent weeks. I reckon if this was the start of the summer, it's a conversation to be had, but basically a week and a half before the season started, it was just a non-starter, I reckon.
Yeah, he says absolute zero chance exactly that of this happening. I mean, Bobby's come out clearly and said he's happy, he loves the club, he loves the city, he loves everything about it. So it's not going to happen now. It's simple. And you know what Klopp thinks of him. There's absolutely zero chance in the current situation that he's going to entertain any bid right now for Bobby Firmino. So that is done. Simple as that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And obviously the contract situation will probably... Well, we either learn later on that he's not getting a new contract or he may sort something in the time being. But speaking of contract renewals, we obviously got the Jotter renewal earlier in the week. I actually can't remember the details. Is it 2027 or 28? I can't remember what it was.
Yeah, that's what they were suggesting, wasn't it?
Yeah.
2027.
Obviously not been here ages, but in the impact he's made in 2 years now? Oh God, I can't... COVID times, I don't know what years are anymore. But he's made such an impact in this time. He obviously, half of last season, second half of last season, he kind of forgot how to do stuff, but I don't think anyone doubts his importance in the squad, and maybe not as an immediate starter, but as a player who can play, I'd probably say 2 of the roles, some people say 3 of the roles in the forward positions, but he's just an excellent squad option, and his goal record speaks for itself.
Yeah, I think Klopp said that, cover the forward positions. I know what you mean. It's he's only really going to be going on the right. He might be the first choice if Salah isn't there, which is obviously not what we want at any moment. So, yeah, it's great renewal. It's good business. He's happy. We're happy. It's just tying down those attacking options, but obviously the Bobby we've spoken about. So, good little boost just before the season starts. Happy days all round.
I don't even know what Jota was on his first contract. Do we know what he's on now? I haven't seen anything myself.
No, it's this sort of speculation time. But the speculation was that when he came, that the figure wasn't that high as a weekly wage, so to speak. So it's a nice boost, like you said. Probably and again, we'll be guessing at figures here, but a nice boost, which is recognition for what he's done in those few years. Yeah.
So if we go off the Mane Salah mold, probably 150 before the big one to about 200 if he gets another one.
Well believable.
Yeah,
the interim step, well believable.
Yeah, I'd probably say something like that. Well, that's it for the Liverpool news, because this is the transfer show. But we will move on to the Premier League, where this week has just decided, let's go pure FIFA. It's gone mental. But we'll start with West Ham, and I know you and Trev spoke a couple podcasts ago, maybe the last podcast, about them maybe needing to do quite a bit of business because some deals have fallen through. Since then, the Scamacca deal got done.
Yeah.
We did have to change this in the synopsis thingy, or the running order. Onana fee agreed. Now, we have to discuss this because West Ham and Everton have now agreed a fee, and all the reports coming out of France is that he prefers Everton. Now, how big is the bag of money that Everton have bribed him with here?
Literally, because as we said last week, Moyes said it, they need 4 or 5. So we said if they're going to sort of even solidify that top end, never mind challenge, they'll need, start moving. And they have. Scamacca, however it's pronounced, good move, striker. Interesting to see how an Italian does in the Premier League, but it's a good name, it's a good pedigree there. Onana guy, the only reason you pick Everton over West Ham is the pound signs. That is simply it. And just being honest, quite often, usually when there's those type of options, players coming from abroad usually prefer the London option to start with. And you look at where the clubs are, it's got to be cash. That's the only reason. There is zero footballing reasons you would pick Everton over West Ham right now. It's the bag. Secure the bag. That's all he's doing, surely.
The only thing I can think of is he'd be a guaranteed starter at Everton because they're dreadful. But I know he's really highly thought of, and I know Dave Hendrick loves him, and he does decide him when the Tchouaméni deal fell through. But if you wait a year at West Ham, Declan Rice is going to go to Man United or Chelsea. He just is at one point. So if you have a year learning your craft, you will be a starter at West Ham, probably playing in Europe next year, whereas Everton, you have a PE teacher as your manager, you have a really toxic club that's in the middle of all sorts of fan ownership debate and strikes and stuff like that, and protests, that's the word I was looking for. And realistically, you're going to play with Doucouré as your best midfield partner.
Honestly, if you think about it as well, just as like to West Ham play that 4-2-3-1, Rice and Onana, that's a brilliant pivot to base on, isn't it? And West Ham have got attacking midfielders galore. But that's honestly what I thought. Like, you start to put a West Ham team together with like Onana and Rice, the sort of the holding two. That looks quite tasty, doesn't it, for any team? So we can debate all that. It's money. It's money. It's not football. It's money if he picks that.
It is, and plus West Ham are in Europe, so him and Souček.
Yeah.
Rice will probably play every game because he's Declan Rice, but you'd still play a lot of football. So it's just an odd one. But they are linked with a few others. I mean, the Kostic deal has kind of gone quiet, and I think Juventus may have been relinked with him. But they have seemed to have pivoted towards Maxwell Cornet from Burnley. I believe he has a 17.5 mil release clause, which, for me, I think that's quite a good deal. Maybe the payment structure's a bit off-putting because you'd have to pay it in a lump sum, but I'm sure Burnley would be all right, maybe allowing a more structured deal because they need the money, let's be honest. But I like Cornet, and if they get Kostic for the rumoured price of about 12 mil, I think it is that.
Yeah.
Especially with Scamacca, who's meant to be a beast in the air, and his left foot, I think it'd be a really good combo. But yeah, it's been a strange summer for West Ham so far because they seem to be IDing the right sorts of talents, but maybe they're just not willing to destroy their wage structure a la Everton or, well, many other clubs we'll probably talk about in a sec.
Yeah, it's a weird one for West Ham. It's like you said, out of those two players, Kostic is the one that you'd be like, right, he would go in the first 11, realistically, make an instant improvement, like the pedigree and how well he did last season. Cornet, to be honest, he kind of strikes me as it's a good option, but it's a good squad option. It's beefing out their squad, which you need to challenge. If you look at who they play in those sort of wide midfield attacking positions, like, is he better than Ben Rama, Bowen? I know Fornals tends to be more an attacking, but drifts into there as well. Not really sure of it. So it is at that price, it's a good squad option, especially like you said, where they got Europe to contend with again as well. So if they get both of those, it is a real good beef out, I'll be honest, of that squad. And you do start to look and think, actually, maybe they could start pushing that top six again in some format. If it's just Cornet and not Kostic, though, and they don't get Onana, picture's very different, innit? It's a big few weeks for West Ham.
Well, that's the thing. I think in terms of having a settled squad and things like that, I think they could get top six anyway, but I think they would have last season if the Europa League wasn't so draining for them, but it was the squad that let them down last year in terms of fighting on two fronts, and what have they got so far? Ogard, Aurelio, I can't even say, Areola, Jesus Christ, and the young lad from Swansea who I believe is a midfielder, Flynn Downs. So it's not, they've not added loads of numbers.
Nah.
So yeah, you'd expect them, you'd hope they'd get Onana, but if he's favouring Everton, yeah, so be it. But Moyes clearly knows they need to thicken out the squad, as you say. So even if they lose out on a couple of these, I think they'll still be active in the market. It might just not be the deals they initially wanted.
Yeah, it's teetering on the edge a little bit for West Ham. These are, like, Onana and Kostic are big deals to get done realistically. Because if you look at where their ambitions are, I mean, whatever you say about Chelsea, and we're going to have to talk about Chelsea, they've improved, yes. Arsenal have improved, Tottenham have improved. So all the teams they want to get in amongst have improved. If you want to just stay in that mix, you need to really get Onana and Kostic in. So it's a big few weeks for West Ham. It really is. Yeah,
absolutely. Absolutely. Probably one of the teams to look at with the remaining window. But so is Chelsea, is the next team we want to talk about, who have gone mental. Their feud with Barcelona continues. They lost out on Koundé and Mukiele. I didn't realise he was linked to them. But, yeah. Had a topsy-turvy pre-season for numerous reasons, and Tuchel doesn't seem to be too happy with players seemingly wanting to leave. But they have not Touchwood, because I don't really care about Chelsea, but Touchwood, they may have finally signed a defender. It is a left back, but he did play a left centre back quite a bit for Brighton.
Yeah.
And that's Cucurella for 50, I think it's above 50 mil now, considering Brighton came out and denied the deal. But yeah, getting plus 50 odd mil for a player, I think Brighton spent 17 mil on last season, might be less than that. It's good. It's good at business for Brighton, and I do like the player. But out of all the centre backs Chelsea have been linked with, it just seems very scattergunny.
It's just another day, another Chelsea drama in it. Like, if you like transfers, Chelsea are your sexy time, basically, aren't they? Exactly as you said, that Koundé, Barcelona, Mukiele, PSG, so they get rejected. A few disasters. And for want of a better phrase, Guy, a bit of a Tuchel tantrum in the press, wasn't it?
Yeah,
like,
absolutely.
This is urgent appeal for players. We're well short. Like, dear God, how much have we spent already? But I get, in essence, with the outgoings, especially defensive, it looks like, other players like Azpilicueta, Alonso want to leave anyway. So you kind of start to get, and then you think, okay, yeah, you've got a lack of goals at the same time. And now we just see him on a defensive merry-go-round. Like you said, the Kimpembe stalling. Fofana comes out of nowhere a little bit, doesn't he? That they're asking for 80 million. Even Dumfries linked as well because Inter need to sell. So it just literally ramps up again. So we're looking at that. And then the next day, everyone's expecting, like, we'll come to City and will they get it done? But swamp in for Cucurella. And like you said, the talk of the fee being about 52.5 million. And the indications we've had is wages around just shy of the 200 million mark, a total gazumping of City. Like, just crazy.
Jesus.
Exactly.
He's not more than Trent.
Do you know, like, it's just like a literal, like, football manager style. And then even, like, the things that are going on, I mean, it's clear that the Werner-Tuchel relationship has broken down completely, hasn't he? So Red Bull are saying, we're trying to get him back. It sounds like, as long as they offer a chomp and a wham bar in instalments, that seems set to get done, and they'll swallow some of the wages, Chelsea. And like even going further, it's coming out that they're still. We said this, but not trying to be all ITK, but we said this in our original things. We knew they were interested in De Jong. That's being linked as a new thing, but it's been there for ages. Even like, God, you have to take a breath to describe all this with Chelsea. But Kyle Walker-Peters as well being linked and inquired about. So that's defensive inquiries. We're not even saying signings, Guy. Inquiries. So Chelsea could well have like a completely different back five to what we think from when the season starts. Oh, and by the way, we've left out the business they've actually done, and I'll probably get my pronunciation wrong. Chuck Wemmicker, I think it is, from Villa. That came out of nowhere, didn't it? The 20 million for the under-19 superstar. So that then gets you thinking, like, okay, Jorginho, Kante, Gallagher, Mount, Kovacevic. Okay, this is going to be interesting. And then a keeper, Selena from Chicago, who is staying there for a season anyway, isn't he? So he's not even coming. So
I think it's till January because the MLS finishes before us.
Yeah,
I think.
Which again goes back to that. Kepa's clearly not wanted, but Kepa's not going anywhere unless someone gives him the fat wage that he's on at Chelsea.
Well, he was linked with Napoli, wasn't he? So maybe they have sorted something where they maybe take a... I imagine he's on probably over 200 grand, so they're probably covering half of it at the very least.
Yeah, so it's not going to be quiet at Chelsea till the end of the transfer window, and I promise you there's going to be more names that we've not heard of, because all it takes is Todd Bowley to reboot that Windows 10 laptop, get his football manager working again, and there's a new player online. That's literally what is going on. It's crazy scattergun, but it's not dull from a transfer perspective, eh?
It really isn't, and I think there was even reports coming out that their first Fofana bid for about, I think it was 70 million euros or 60 odd million quid, got rejected last night, I believe. I like Fofana, but signing someone off the back of a huge injury is for that amount of money is just stupid.
It's a risk, isn't it?
Yeah, it just seems really odd. And to pivot from Koundé, who was going to cost about 50 odd mil, to Fofana, who's going to cost probably about 80 odd mil, it just makes no sense whatsoever. But happy days for us Liverpool fans, because I think Chelsea will be moving into the Arsenal conversation rather than the City and Liverpool conversation. Yeah, but it's an odd one from them. Were you going to say something there?
No, it's just literally, I suppose the one thing Chelsea have got, which keeps it interesting, they are a seller's dream, aren't they? Because everyone knows they've got cash. everyone knows it's a scattergun approach and it's desperate. So agents can almost tout their wares to them at this stage. And I'm not being funny, like, because even I saw Malang Sarr, they're looking to loan him as well, which is, crazy. You're short of defenders and you're shipping one out. I know he's not the best, but you might want to wait till you get one in, so to speak.
Yeah,
so,
you reckon so?
Could you imagine, though, if Chelsea get a defensive knock in that it's Everton first game they've got, agents will be thinking, like, this is our chance. We can fleece these galore. So
we talked about Nat Phillips. We talked about Nat Phillips.
Maybe. You know what I mean?
50 mil.
50 mil type of thing. But, yes, Chelsea are a seller's dream. But, listen, they keep us talking, so fair play.
Absolutely. Got to thicken out the show. But almost the opposite of Chelsea is Leicester, and they've done nothing this summer until now, where it looks like they're going to sell half their team, or they have put a price on half their team, but nobody yet has activated anything other than Kasper Schmeichel, who he's obviously been. I think he was there for 11 years. I think I read.
Yeah, long time.
A lot of leadership challenges, and I can't remember what podcast it was. I think it might have been with Tadeo over on the EPL side, but. We've seen as Liverpool fans' first experience that Rodgers doesn't like leadership in the changing room. He doesn't like people challenging it, and the lads that are linked away with moves. I mean, Schmeichel's gone. Vardy, I doubt he'll leave, but there was links for Vardy to a couple teams. I think. Not sure if Maddison's a leader, and I'm not sure if Harvey Barnes are a leader, but they're probably biggest players of the club, and that's why they're linked to Newcastle. But the Leicester situation. I'm pretty sure they must be struggling with FFP because it doesn't really make sense otherwise. But to have Schmeichel going away, who's probably on one of the highest earners there, Maddison and Barnes linked to Newcastle, which would probably be 60 mil for Maddison seems to be the fee. If so, I'm not sure what the Barnes one is. Fofana, we mentioned 80 million quid. That if they sell all three, or even two of them, or even one of them, they're going to have to replace both of them, because Maddison was their player of the season by 1,000,000 miles last year, and we saw what Leicester's defence looked like without Fofana.
You get the feeling there's almost something going on at Leicester that we really don't know about, because it's linked with exits galore, but there's no suggestions of any replacements even being lined up. I mean, it's like you said, Schmeichel's gone. So everyone thought, are they getting a new keeper? No, all the suggestions are it's Danny Ward and the third choice, a fellow I've never even heard of, and now going to complete for the shirt. I mean, that's like you said, that's the leader, that's the captain, their spokesperson really in the dressing rooms. That's a big personality gone. Maddison and Barnes, like you say, the thing that's really interesting is Newcastle are sticking in. It keeps going, the offer increases. They're not doing that unless they're getting encouragement from the player's agent there, realistically. Absolutely. And I'm pretty sure they'll be offering to, double, treble Maddison's wages there. So he'll be off for the Gucci bags you fancy eventually type of thing. Harvey Barnes as well, like a guy with a few injuries. We looked at him at one point as well. So these are, like you say, they're maybe not, wouldn't maybe classed as leaders, but they're big players, big personalities in that Leicester changing room. Like you said, Fofana, I mean, I'm being honest now, out of all the deals that we're sort of considering, if they can get 80 million for Fofana, drive him to Chelsea right now, like you said, after his injuries, do that move. It's smart money.
The only thing with that, Dave, is then you've got Brendan Rodgers with 80 million to spend on a centre-back.
That is the absolute danger, isn't it? It was weird because I know it sounds bad, if it wasn't Brendan Rodgers, I'd be like, Leicester are really good. Do you remember, like, they sold Maguire for 80 million and they got Fofana, like they've got the Turkish lad whose name escapes me now all of a sudden with the ponytail. Good, that's it. They're quite good at getting centre-backs in normally. I'm saying that normally. But the money in the hands of Brendan Rodgers terrifies you in that sense. I mean, even the whole Tielemans thing, Tielemans clearly doesn't want to be there. It's so obvious. He just can't get an offer. And I think the big teams have looked and picked other options, which I totally understand. It kind of has the feeling that he will leave on a free. So they got a player who's not really that bothered, it seems, about being there. Leicester are a really odd team at the moment, unless something's going to happen fast that we don't know about. They dropped a bit down last season after winning the FA Cup the previous year. I wouldn't be surprised, Guy, if it's a bit of a dressing room in turmoil a little bit. And you could even, unless something changes, see them dropping out the top half, couldn't you? Let's be honest.
Well, I think they finished 10th last year, and that was basically because I think Wolves basically forgot how to play football for half a season. So yeah, it wouldn't surprise me if they drop even, maybe not, I don't think they'll get relegated just because of the talent there, but we've seen that club get toxic before. Claudio Ranieri, Claude Puel. It does get toxic there at times, so it would be a concern, and I think the fan base did turn on Rodgers a bit last year, so it'll be interesting to see if he can maybe weather the storm at the start of the season, but if he doesn't, we've seen them owners sack people who are much more bigger Leicester icons than Rodgers, so it'll be interesting to see.
God, yeah, I think you've got to think like exactly that. It tends to be either a happy place where everyone seems to be on the same page and, you're getting the normal Rodgers sound bites, but it's a club that's proved the players will mutiny. There's no two ways about it. If it's not working for them, they will quite happily throw the manager under the bus. It's one of those at the moment, unless something changes, Brendan Rodgers leaving Leicester before the end of the coming season would not surprise you at all.
Yeah, I wouldn't surprise if he's maybe behind Marco Silva and Lampard, but in the sacking odds after them two go, it wouldn't surprise me if he's up there. So it'd be interesting. Now on the other side of that coin, Newcastle probably not had the summer most people expected. Obviously, Botman was a long-term 6-month target, which is long-term in football. And then they've just kind of not done too much else, really, or too much of note. I mean, making Matt Targett permanent. I'm probably forgetting someone, Nick Pope. I think that's a clever signing. And then a couple others. But it seems now maybe that they've tried to be patient and tried to not get fleeced. They obviously had the Ekitike thing that rumbled on for basically a year. But they may be one of these teams that explodes in the last few weeks of the window.
Yeah, it's me and Trev said they had a sort of a bit of a dull but sensible approach. They seem to be picking like sensible targets. It now just feels like, as it's starting to leak out, that Eddie Howe of all people's like, listen, we've got money and we should be trying to attract this better caliber of players. That the bigger moves are starting. Obviously, they asked about Isaac from Sociedad, no real interest there, but Leicester seem to be their flavour. They've sniffed onto the blood in the water there at the King Power. So we know about Maddison being rejected. We know about Harvey Barnes' inquiry, so it's definitely ones to watch. Amazingly, though, it's the even players that they've inquired about, like Timo Werner, Lucas, I think it's Paqueta it's pronounced, isn't it? And Leon. Yeah. They did confirm there was no interest in Draxler, despite all the rumours coming out. So it's a difficult one for Newcastle, because, again, they're an agent's dream, aren't they, Guy? They've got money. They clearly want attacking reinforcements. And again, agents are just waiting for that blood in the water. Can you imagine if Newcastle, say, draw a blank, don't score on the opening day of the season? That just stirs it a little bit more, doesn't it? It just adds a couple of million maybe to people's price tags for attacking players. So agents will be sort of touting their wares. So I would be astonished, though, whilst they've got the money. I know it's dangerous to talk about FFP with Newcastle, but based on their figures, the money is there to spend, etc. I would be astonished if they don't make a big move. The smart money's on Maddison, but maybe one or two big moves for the close.
Well, that's the thing. They clearly targeted Ekitike as probably more of a project, but they're still over-reliant on Callum Wilson for goals. I mean, Chris Wood's Chris Wood, but maybe he can improve on his last year. But the last couple of years, Chris Wood's not been the same player we remember from peak Burnley, where he was just a pain in the arse. But yeah, if maybe a younger striker and then more of an established 10 / Maddison kind of played right wing at times, but yeah, I think the attacking options are there. I think they need a defensive midfielder as well, but maybe you don't need to splash out on that position just yet. But yeah, I mean, I think it probably speaks volumes that they're targeting a team like Leicester that nothing publicly there, but they must have financial restrictions if they've not signed a soul. Maybe they've got to target teams like then obviously League One, where they got Sven Botman from. We know that the troubles Lille were having in particular, so maybe they've just got to try and target teams or leagues that don't have the biggest financial clout. So yeah,
it
it'll be interesting to see.
a little bit of a changing of the order, so to speak. Not right at the top, but if, like you said, Newcastle now going after Leicester players, it shows where we are in transfer terms, isn't it? Leicester, as you said, about 9th, 10th in the table. Newcastle are looking at those type of teams and saying, where can we strip their best players? I mean, like you said, when Chris Wood was to strip Burnley, a relegation rival, wasn't it, back in the day, going back to last season. Now they are looking and thinking, okay, we've got a good span. We've got, Burn and Botman at the back, looked quite tasty. I can't remember the Brazilian lad they bought in from Lyon's name. He bought in, was like that's it, midfielder. So, that's there. Saint-Maximin, you think, good player. They're now looking, as you said, like Maddison maybe right, attacking 10, and then you think striker, maybe another holding midfielder, but you can see the logic. It's the defence looked more solid under Eddie Howe. It's goals where you just start to think, is Callum Wilson really going to get you to where you want to go? So, yeah, I genuinely wouldn't be surprised to see like Maddison and one other. That would be the smart money.
Yeah, absolutely. Now, moving to Everton, it's been a strange window because we know the financial problems there. I think we alluded to them a bit earlier on with the Onana stuff. They confirmed a deal for Vinagre, who was at Wolves, looked impressive at times, but I don't think Wolves ever. They seem to pick Ryan Out-Nouri over him. They've got him maybe as a wing back because Mikalenko can play left centre back, so we'll see with time how they're set up. But yeah, it seems like clever business. Getting McNeil from Burnley, I like McNeil, although he had a stinker of a season last year. But if you're playing free at the back with a wing back, then McNeil doesn't really have a position, so it's an odd move there. But before we set up this pod, we didn't have the Onana stuff, but they've gone from being the Idrissa Gana Gay stuff's kind of gone quiet. They may still get in, but if they're going rather than getting a PSG reject who already left Everton and going to seemingly one of the hottest midfield prospects in the world, it's quite a difference there. But maybe they're just finally spending the Richarlison money, which apparently wasn't there when they were linked with Cornet, etc.
Do you know what? I'd probably agree with you to say it's strange moves, but it's a strange club in it, really. Anyway, Everton. So, yeah, and they love the fullbacks. They always bring in a fullback every season, don't they? It seems Everton. They are obsessed with rotating the fullbacks.
Little Man City.
Yeah, exactly. Like it's strange type of things. Like literally, McNeil. I mean, it probably says how far his career's fallen. That if you'd gone back maybe 3 years ago, etc., you'd probably be in link with places like us, and City, wasn't he? A real prospect, but look where he's ended up after relegation, even dropping out the Burnley team for large periods, let's be honest. So it will be interesting to see what he does, but when you looked at his stats, you did think, yeah, that's an Everton-type winger, and again, he doesn't really fit into the system, so that's an Everton-type signing. But it's the Burnley obsession, isn't it? Tarkowski, McNeil, even Cornet.
Yeah,
they've been linked with it. Maybe it's a sign of the times. Again, the changing of the guard a little bit. Everton are going after Burnley players, stripping the team that's been relegated, that bargain. But the one that, it's just so far out of left field, Onana. I guarantee if he goes to Everton, give it a week, he'll be like, what have I done? Literally, I've just gone for the money. I'm out of place. He would be an amazing buy for them, but it just goes against everything else they're doing. It's like, it would make me sad, but you'd just be thinking, if players are going to start picking Everton over West Ham. But, yeah, Everton fans won't care if they could get a player of an Onana's calibre. Great news for them, isn't it?
Absolutely. And then, as you say, he'll realise soon enough what he's done. Whilst Frank Lampard's saying, just pass it forward as hard as you can.
Yeah, exactly.
Hoof it. Yeah, it's an odd one at Everton, but the Onana deal, I like what they've done so far, but bad manager, bad squad beforehand, but is Tarkowski enough in defence? Maybe, but yeah, midfield was awful. I think him and I've never seen Onana play, but by all accounts, him and Doucouré would probably be good midfield. Then it's just you're gambling on stuff. Well, Calvert-Lewin's already got injured, so they need a striker. They already needed one. They've not replaced Richarlison like for like, so still more to do at Everton, I reckon.
Yeah, do you know, thing is though, let's be honest, Guy, more to do defines where they finish between like 12th and 17th, doesn't it? Realistically, you know, they're miles short of other clubs despite their history and name. Do you know, it's not. It's kind of funny, but it's not a bad time. It's not a good time, is it, to be an Everton fan? Let's be honest.
No, I certainly think, regardless of the Onana deal, the longer Lampard's there, I think they'll be flirting with relegation still. We mentioned the Cucurella deal, but we haven't really mentioned the knock-on effects of what that means for other clubs. Because I think you said City. Well, you all know City were interested, but didn't want to go above 40 mil. Fair enough. Brighton there. Chelsea obviously paying the 50 plus 50 mil. Barca interest not seen as real. I think it may have been a fake Gerard Romero account or something that said it, but it would have been hilarious. But the knock-on effect in City, I think it was Build Plus or Build, said they apparently bid €80 million for Gvardiol. I think that's how you pronounce his name. Now he's seen as one of the next big centre-back prospects or defender prospects, but I saw Cucurella as simply just a fullback at Man City, whereas at Chelsea, I think he'll flip-flop between left centre-back and wing-back for them. Whereas City then moving on to Gvardiol, maybe the Aki deal gets reignited or something like that, but maybe they just want what they did with Haaland and want the next big thing in a position. I think he played left-back for Croatia at times, so maybe centre-back and left-back cover there, and then a long-term partner for Diaz with Laporte's injury history. But it's a weird transition from City if that was actually true.
Yeah, it is odd because, like you say, Cucurella is probably, in a way, a left-back or left-wing-back, if we're being pedantic, you know, who can play centre-back. If you switch into Gvardiol, you're talking more a centre-back who can play left-back. They can play both positions, don't get me wrong, but, you know, there's different styles, isn't there, so to speak? Especially when you look at the players, I also wonder, would Gvardiol suit Chelsea more with their defensive style and numbers, whereas Cucurella did, to me, suit City because he likes to push on, doesn't he, type of thing, and they love to push their fullbacks right on. So to swap them round does seem a bit strange. I mean, this is the tough one, isn't it? Because Cucurella is a good player. I don't think for 1 minute he's worth the wages and the fee they're talking about, but he's a good player, you know, he's had a good season. Gvardiol, again, pushed as a talent, isn't he? A lot of people like this lad. And I'm not going to get into the whole Bundesliga tax debate. I'd like to see how he does in the Premier League type of thing, because that is a different discussion for another day. So it would genuinely, there's a part of me really wants to see him come to the Premier League to see how he does get on and how that talent does develop. The knock-on effects are immense. The one thing I'm still coming to, Guy, is both clubs still need fullbacks, you know, players that can play in fullbacks. I get that, wing-backs, whatever you want to describe it as. The fees they're talking, though, it kind of brings a little smile to me, because if these are the fees, what does it make Tsimikas worth? Never mind Robbo. Do you know what I mean? If you're talking these numbers for guys who can play left back. I'm sure you saw
the Barcelona linked up Trent this morning or last night, where it's 67 mil for next summer.
For which
I think you'd have to have a free in front of that number just to get a phone call from us, I think.
Exactly. So it is a fascinating one. The price of fullbacks, and it's two clubs in it. There's no one spends money on fullbacks like Chelsea and Man City. They are, if you've got a fullback and you're an agent, they're your dream, aren't they, really? Because they will overpay. But absolutely, yeah, I kind of hope both those moves happen, because I would be intrigued to see how they do. They're both good players. Struggling to see the fee justification. I mean, like I say, the fee they're talking for Gvardiol, like around 70, 80 million. But we'll see. We'll see what happens anyway.
The thing with Gvardiol as well, I think by all accounts, Spurs saw him as maybe the second choice behind Bastoni.
Yeah.
If he was available for a fee that was possible by normal football clubs, I think Spurs would have pushed harder for him rather than getting Langley on a loan. So it's going to have to be a huge overpay on what Leipzig value him as, I presume. But as we said, the talent's clearly there in both players. But if it's not Gvardiol, it's going to be interesting to see what City do, because they're linked with that young Spanish left back. But I think in the quote, it's a development left back, so he might go on loan or play in I think it's back to the under-21s now. But I think Man City, the Bernardo Silva rumours don't go away, so City might get dragged into this mad last few weeks of the transfer window. But it'll be interesting to see.
We would love, let's be honest, because the one thing you're noticing about all these clubs is we're loving, as Liverpool fans, the instability. So we'd be quite happy, if we're honest, for whatever we think of Bernardo Silva, he's a top player. So if he went, that would be good. It's a big change in their midfield. I know this opens up the aspects of who they bring in, don't get me wrong, but it's still a late change then, isn't it, around stability for City? So if that destabilises in any way, and it's also just interesting, there's that little chink that City have lost a first-choice target to Chelsea. It doesn't change everything, but it just opens a few questions. So listen, any instability around Man City, bring it on all day.
That's the thing. I think I've said previously, it might have been on Twitter or on a podcast, I think Bernardo Silva leaving is a bigger impact in the title race than any signing Mbappe or something like that. Any signing Liverpool could do. So that'd be brilliant for us. But we'll move on to Europe. And Bayern Munich have gone full football manager and spent, is it 25 mil or 25 million euro on a 17-year-old no one's ever heard of?
Yeah, it's an interesting one. It's almost like if you've heard of him, you'll probably have to be an ultimate, European football connoisseur. Don't get me wrong, but the pedigree's supposed to be there, isn't it? Vattel, French forward. The fee is so odd because the suggestion is it's 20 million euros initially, with up to 8 million euros in a bonus. But as part of that, the player and his agent have agreed to forego certain bonuses to get him to Bayern. Now, no one really knows if that's kind of Bayern just, press release spin, if you know what I mean. It sounds a bit strange, but yeah, they've been quite clear. They really see this guy as an option. It's not yes, it will have a long-term element, but it's not just a project. They're seeing as we will get minutes, which is interesting because when you think of Bayern's attacking options across the board, whether that's true, not quite sure, but let's see anyway. But yeah, it will be a player that I think clubs will be intrigued to see how he gets on. Fans will be intrigued to see how he gets on because it's not a big name on the market. So big chance for him, no way.
Well, that's the thing. I think we're seeing. I think we're going to talk about in a sec, but the Sesko deal, who looked good against us in the friendly the other day, and by all accounts is the next big striking prospect. That the fees linked to him are massive, and he's not even. I don't think he even established his goal scoring record in the Austrian league. So maybe Bayern just thinking if he has one more good season, the price goes from 20 mil to 50 mil. So maybe get ahead of the curve and. Maybe the French league itself. If you're a youngster and you get put up front for Bayern Munich, you should just be able to feast on that league.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. It's not like he's going to be short of chances, is he? Realistically, in that league, so he'll get a chance to shine.
Absolutely. The Conrad Lima deal has been going on for feeling about 7 years now. Midfield's not. I suppose he's just a really good squad option because he can cover midfield, multiple roles in the midfield and right back. They're still linked with a couple players still linked away with them. I think Pavard, maybe a tad unhappy, potentially seen as one who can get replaced with the De Ligt move, and Mazzari coming in. I pronounced that name wrong, but I'll move past that. But yeah, Conrad Lima, a player that is well known to AI people because the transfer committee lads always link him to us. But yeah, Lima, long-term deal. No one's shocked if this gets done.
Yeah, it's like you say though. It's Bayern, it's Germany. If you want it, just get it done. I don't understand why it is really dragging on so long. It's a bit odd, but we'll see what happens there. Yeah, Pavard will be an interesting one. Doesn't really seem he's wanted, so we'll see if that develops. But I think in the nicest way. But you look at that. Sounds horrible to say. I struggle to get that excited over Bayern. They've got that league wrapped up already, haven't they, before it starts? So unless anything major happens, sounds terrible, that, doesn't it? But it's just hard to get that excited over Bayern, to be honest.
Well, that's the thing. I think Dortmund have been so disappointing. Maybe even whilst Tuchel was there, but since Tuchel left, I think they've always been second or third at the very least. But they've just not been in the same calibre of team as Bayern Munich, especially since Klopp left, but then Tuchel, etc. But yeah, that league's probably... It's even more dead than League One. That's the thing. So yeah, it's an odd one with them. I have closed the synopsis because I'm stupid. Who are we going to talk about next?
Just really, we can't go a week without mentioning Chelsea. We can't go a week without mentioning Barcelona, haven't we?
So, yes. I reopened it.
Honestly, it's like I wish my bank account had the levers that Barcelona does to find this cash. I really do. Literally, Koundé is now done, which was, kind of expected, but it's just funny to see Chelsea suffer again, isn't it? And now, again, another levers pulled, in regards to the social media and social content. So that's another 100 million coming. So there's talk now, isn't there, about Bernardo Silva? That it's just not going away, that talk, is it? It tends to be rumours, but it's just not going away. And a few others. And the most interesting thing is Laporta coming out and say, Xavi's made it clear he still wants a good few more faces. I was like, whatever you say about Barca's financial situation, that's a whole other show, don't get me wrong. You can't say they're not backing Xavi, can you? Whether it's right or wrong, you cannot argue they're not backing that manager. There is players galore entering that changing room. So, long story short, there'll be more levers pulled. There'll be more players coming into Barcelona. Bank on that.
That's the thing. I think I saw Laporta say last night or yesterday, might have even been this morning. They expect a few people to leave this week or the next couple of weeks as well. So maybe Frankie de Jong finally goes somewhere. Probably not. So still owe him 20 million euros by all accounts.
Yeah.
Yeah, Barcelona's just fun but mental, but just baffling at the same time.
It's a whole other show, that one.
It is.
Let's be honest.
It's a whole different sport to everyone else. PSG, Nordi Mukiele, cover for Hakimi. You can also play right centre back if they pivot to a free at the back, which I think Galtier does at times. Still linked to Skriniar, who I think maybe the last time I actually hosted, we talked about this deal, and I think he was linked with Chelsea at the time.
Yeah.
I think the fee was like 40 mil when we were talking then. Maybe Inter just upped the price or didn't want to sell him in the end, but I'm surprised he's still there if he was available from Inter Milan.
It's a weird one because everyone knows Inter need to sell. Everyone is aware of that. So naturally, the start of the summer was clickbait ease, wasn't it? Like, as you said, Berea, who I haven't mentioned, Dumfries, trying to think who we haven't mentioned, but there's so many targets you could put on the chopping block for sale. And this was an obvious one. And then obviously it came out that PSG were moving. So we were thinking, yeah, this will get done. It's not like it's a club short of money, etc. It's bizarre. It's still dragging on. It really is bizarre. And I just wonder now, like you said, with Mukiele coming in, again, another player who can play full-back and centre-back in some sort of formation. It seems to be a trend with these type of players, doesn't there, at the moment? But you just wonder if that is part of them thinking, okay, we'll leave Skriniar now. And the other one, Kimpembe's gone quiet as well, hasn't it, Guy, realistically? Yeah. So it's just a bit strange at PSG. You never know. And the reason I'm saying you never know is it's not like they need to desperately get these players in because they're still going to win their league by like 30, 40 points. So it doesn't really matter. It's whether they think those players make a big, big difference to their Champions League quest. And I'm not too sure they do at the moment. So we'll see.
Yeah, I think Skriniar could because if they play free at the back, Kimpembe is the left. He's bad. But as a left centre-back, he probably suits better. Marquinhos is one of the best centre-backs in the world. He's probably in the centre role. Then if it's Mukiele, yeah, fine. But if it's Skriniar, then that defence looks a lot better, in my opinion. So I think that'd be the one that makes a difference in the Champions League. But I think also Renato Sanchez, who seems to be on the verge of signing, or has been on the verge of signing for about a month now. He obviously linked with Lille with the sporting director that isn't Mbappe, that I can't remember his name of. I think we addressed when they signed Vitinha. The midfield's probably there except maybe defence and lack of pressing in the Champions League. The midfield was probably one that was left to rot at times. I know they signed Ginny and Idrissa Gana Gueye, etc. But addressing that and having Verratti, Renato Sanchez, Vitinha, and then whoever's left out of them lads, it seems like a more cohesive unit than what we've ever seen before.
Yeah, I actually think it's a decent move. It kind of reeks of a Bayern move, doesn't it? As in, like, there's a connection there, and it's signing the best midfielders in the league, so to speak. So I get it. It's a low fee, and as you mentioned, there's that little connection again, isn't there now at PSG galore. So I understand it. I think it is a really good move, and I know we'll come on to it later, but it's clear that PSG are moving midfielders out at the same time. So yeah, it's not a headline-grabbing move, but a decent move. Understand it.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. And we will see PSG in the Champions League, because who watches Ligue 1? And if you do, you're probably not asked about PSG.
Exactly.
But moving on then, we have Charles de Kettler. That's what I'm going to go with. He turned down Leeds to go to AC Milan. Shock horror. It kind of shows the disparity of funds in world football right there. But fair enough, he is seen as one of the next big... I think he's as a second striker more than I'll say forward. One of the more forward prospects in the world. Yeah, seems like a good get for AC Milan, but it also shows Leeds have money burning still, because I think they offered about 30-ish million.
Yeah, I think there's some good things it shows. I mean, it shows that, as you said, Leeds are still active. They're still looking for forwards, which makes sense, because relying on Bamford, we know what happened with that last season. I'm glad he's picked AC Milan, though. I mean, like, come on, the pedigree, back in the Champions League, all that type of stuff. And as you said, very much a forward. You kind of have the feeling that, dependent on how they go, they've got like Leao, haven't they, up there? Zlatan still signed another year, so you could play. I think De Kettler was the last pronunciation I've heard of it, so I'll go with that one. We'll split bets there.
We'll call him Charles.
Big Charlie, yeah, exactly that. So he is a talent. There's a lot of clubs were interested at one point or another, so I am intrigued to see how he gets on. But yeah, based on the price, around the €40 million mark, it does look a good move for AC Milan.
Yeah, and it'll be interesting to see what Leeds do, because they've obviously got a lot of money in. It'll be interesting to see what they do. We've had a few former Reds getting some moves. Kabak's gone to Hoffenheim, failing upwards there.
Yeah.
I liked Kabak when he was here, but yeah, I think he hopefully finds a good move, because the Norwich one was, well, it's Norwich, let's be honest.
Yeah.
And Ginny, we mentioned them PSG midfielders on the out, moving to Roma. I think he's probably a perfect Jose Mourinho midfield. I think they've signed Matic as well. Very boring midfield, but I think it'll give them a really good platform for the new players like Dybala, and if Zaniolo stays and stuff like that, and Tammy Abraham, obviously. I think them two could provide a really good platform for the Roma attack.
Yeah, 100%. It's good moves all round. Kabak to Hoffenheim sounds terrible, but it sounds about his level, doesn't it? In all honesty, probably be happier at home in the Bundesliga again. So I think that's a good move for him. Gini, that's got a Mourinho move all over it, hasn't it? Players that were top midfielders in the Premier League sort of 5 years ago, he's taking them to Roma. So I think that'll just be a good move all round. And listen, Gini just needs to get out of PSG, because he chased the bag and look what happened there realistically. So yeah, I think that will be a good league, a good move for him. So yeah, couple of old Reds getting a happy home.
Yeah, hopefully both moves work out for both the players. Now on to a slightly sadder situation with Dortmund, and they're seemingly scrambling around for striker cover, because I'm sure everyone knows by now the Sebastian Haller situation with they found a tumour. It wasn't his medical, it was some sort of checkup afterwards, wasn't it?
Yeah.
But they are linked with strikers to replace him. Werner, probably the top end in terms of the financial package they need for that.
Yeah.
But long-term names in that situation, Piatek and Thuram. I think they were linked with Anthony Modeste as well, I think he was linked with him. I think I saw Thuram's the one that probably makes more sense for them. But yeah, it's a sad situation, but they do need striker cover. And if they need 100 million, we can buy Belling off them.
It's a weird one. Listen, to say weird one. Let's be clear. It's a tragic what's happened with Haller. It really is. Especially, new signing set to lead the line. So, fingers crossed it all works out well for him and his treatment, etc. So then you're looking and thinking, do they want short term? Do they want long term? There's a real mix in there here, guy. Like you said, Modeste is an ultimate sort of older, long term Bundesliga campaigner. It's a real short term move. But then, like, Thuram's a younger, so more someone who can develop. Werner's probably in between, isn't he? Supposed to be his peak years. We could debate that all day long, what's happened at Chelsea, but that's where he is as a player. So, at one point, let's be honest, they made inquiries of Luis Suarez, didn't they? Which also stunk of a short-term cover. So it's almost like they still haven't decided what they want to do a little bit since Haller's, in this situation. So it might be dictated by the market and what they can get, so to speak, because it looks a spread strategy. So there's a striker going there, one way and another. They're getting another striker in. They've made that clear. But it's difficult to predict exactly who that will be just now.
Yeah, obviously finding Werner a home. As we said, if he's still there by the last week of the transfer window, just offer taking a quarter of his wage and Chelsea will bite.
Mad.
So yeah. But we'll finish up with a focus on Man United. And you've picked a beauty here, Dave, let's be fair. Man United, dearie me, what an awful summer for many, many reasons. The only place we got to start with is the Ronaldo situation, who has no suitors whatsoever, seemingly, that are willing to pay for him. Sporting's the latest rumour. I think Napoli won't go away, but I doubt either of them teams will spend any money whatsoever on him. And we saw, I think it was last week, Mendes came in to negotiate this. Fergie was part of the meeting as well. He's obviously played half a friendly since then, but then left at half time like a prick.
Oh, crazy.
Just an absolute prick. But yeah, this Ronaldo situation, I think he's just stuck at United because why would they release him from the contract when they spent 30 million and he's on 500 odd grand a week? It makes no sense. I think you just got to bite the bullet for a year, really. But from his point of view, he's just even if you just speak from a football point of view, I know it's a transfer show, but imagine one of our legends doing this. I know we've had people, Suarez isn't really a legend, he's a great player, but I know we had the Gerrard situation, but imagine if Gerrard came back, if he did leave to Chelsea, then did it again. What would have happened there? It's absolutely insane. You have to revoke legend status there, because he's just a bellend. But anywho, rant over. The Ronaldo situation, Dave.
Yeah. It literally is. It's devoured that club all summer and it'll just carry on. It's badly handled on every level. There's clearly a player who wants to go. There's no doubt about that. You can fiddle it under family emergency, but the whole world's aware. His camp, Mendes is clearly leaking it. He wants to go. They were inviting suitors from all sorts to see where they could get, mainly because he's that selfish character to protect his legendary status, Champions League goals, all that type of thing. So how do United react? And it was a big watershed moment because I think it's quite clear Ten Hag doesn't particularly want him there as well. You can see there's friction there. It could have been a real good chance to say we're backing this manager, seriously, and like get him out on his elbow type of thing. But like you said, suitors is a problem when you've got a player like Ronaldo. When the starting point is $500,000 a week, it's people say, he's reduced his wage demands. Yeah, but reduced his wage demands. How many clubs can afford 350 grand a week? Yeah. Like that's not. People don't see that as a reduction, especially at his age. So then United, how do they react? God, they break Fergie out the embalming fluid, don't they? If anything undermines the current structure, the fact that you need to bring Fergie back to be involved in the conversations, it just undermines everything completely. Now he comes back eventually, because I'm sure Mendes said, listen, we've got no option, mate. We've got to do this in the meantime at least, but there's no guarantees. Like you said, comes and plays a bit, doesn't really try hard from the footage, and then sods off before full time. And obviously it breaks, it makes sense. And then it's clear like Ten Hag, could have hit it, but threw him under the bus hard style. No, he left on his own accord. I don't know why he's done it. It's out of order type of thing. So that's just fueling the fire sort of thing. And Ten Hag posturing a bit as well, but the people at the top are just not sorting this out. And I know you said, leave it for a year, bite the bullet. I love that guy, because do you know what that's going to do? That is just a wound that is going to fester for a year. As soon as it starts to go wrong, it's an easy thing to lean towards, isn't it? If as soon as he plays badly or doesn't try, or it's an easy one just to bring up. So it's brilliant. It's absolutely brilliant. Long may it continue.
Yeah, absolutely. If anything better, they should only accept offers of £0 from Europa League teams.
It'd be amazing, wouldn't it?
So he only wants to go to Champions League teams. It'd be amazing. But yeah, hold on to him, ruin his Champions League record, he'll go to the World Cup regardless, but ruin his form going to the World Cup. Fantastic. Get your own back on the prick. But other circus features of Man United, Lisandro Martinez, the deal that took at least 2 months longer than it should, because he was target from day one, and Jesus Christ, took too long. Seemingly, I think Ten Hag said he'll definitely be the left centre-back, but maybe if he struggles, he might get moved into midfield. Hey-ho, we've seen in the past. I think Grealish had one game in midfield, and Pep was like, no. But Lisandro will be locked in at left centre-back for the time being, you expect. But then that answers the question, who'll play next to him? Maguire, 80 mil, captain, Varane, Champions League winner, big signing of last summer. Lindelof was linked with a move away earlier today. I'm not sure if that'll be true, because he's going to, I think he was linked with Sevilla. But yeah, overpaid again. They probably could have got a cheaper if they actually had any football operations there. That club just can't do transfers at all.
It just can't do, like you said, transfers, and it can't do negotiations. It's as soon as another club is interested in one of their targets, and obviously you look at their history, Maguire, like you said, you knew they were going to overpay. I mean, when we first started talking about this, and we started talking about this when he was linked with Arsenal and United at the start, the fee was mentioned around 35, 36 million. Now, as per the press reports, and, slight variations as ever, the fee's upwards of like 56 million. It's like it's almost like a Man United tax, isn't it? That clubs can just hammer onto them, and they know how to play them. And it dragged out, like you said. They had a chance to get it done, but Arsenal messed around and then switched tack. It sounds terrible, but it's just funny. They're easy meat for clubs who want to sell players. They really are. It's an amateur operation at a massive name. It's just funny.
Really is. Other business they got that young left back Malacia in quite early on, to be fair to him, but when you're trying to gazump Leon when you're Man United, it's something that hard. Tellez, who 2 years ago, I believe the sign, might be wrong with that. He's going to Sevilla as well. Yeah, whatever, don't care. Ericsson on a free, again, that free transfer dragged for ages. How's that possible? Good player, no idea where he'll play. Spurs interest seem to get cooled very quickly, and then it just seemed to be between United and Brentford. But the De Jong situation drags on again. I mean, I think United publicly keep saying keep leaking to the press, we wouldn't have gone this far if we didn't think he'd actually come to United. Yeah. But publicly, De Jong doesn't want to come to United. So I have no idea. And it got to the stage last week where apparently they were offering $500,000 a week and willing to pay him his 20 mil that Barca owes him. Yeah. It may become one of the biggest deals in football history that I just see being just all sorts of wrong, because he clearly doesn't want to go there.
It's just typical United. It's like he's Ericsson, good player. You go back to him, like talent, blah, 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 etc. The problem is, like you say, you've already got Bruno there. He's not really what United need, is he? That sort of steal, or he's more an attacking playmaker than a deep lying one, which you'd think they'd want. So, listen, anyone's going to be better than McTominay and Fred, but, those are the two that you need to replace. Then De Jong now, you come to that, and you're just thinking, like, if this happens, it's just going to be a complete screw over of Manchester United. The fee's going to be ridiculous. The talk is now they've agreed to pay some of his back wages, that Barcelona owe him. The weekly wage will be astronomical, and it will be down to a player that, as you said, doesn't want to be there. Imagine overpaying on every element for a player that doesn't want to be there. I mean, got to be honest, I think De Jong is a talent. I'm not trying to dismiss his talent or make it sound like he's a no one. But the fee you're paying, the wages you'll be paying, and a player that doesn't want to be there, what a combination that is, Guy. It's a club, again, just showing you how, and they're a good example for everyone, how not to do things.
Yeah, and that's the thing. I think everyone appreciates the player that Frankie de Jong is. I think maybe people expected him to be better from his Ajax days, but that seems to be a story of Ajax players, to be fair. But I still don't think he'd be the player that would fix what they need in midfield. I think they need defensive solidity, not another person who can pass between the lines and stuff. Well, I say another one. The first person who can pass between the lines because the midfield's that bad. But yeah, if I was them, I'd be targeting. Maybe Ndidi's a bad example with his injury problems, but an Ndidi, a Sangare, who's been linked to us at the start of the window. It's just, yeah. I think the one positive this summer is Ten Hag seemingly doing the right things as a coach, because adding discipline, even if it is pre-season, you see a style of play, patterns, etc. But yeah, I think if his idea is to just have this Eredivisie total football thing, we've seen in the past, even Klopp to a certain extent, you can't just come in and treat it like the Bundesliga. You can't play 4-2-3-1. You can't play total football. You need workhorse in the team. Even Pep, without Rodri, that team doesn't work. Without Fernandinho, the team doesn't work. If Bernardo Silva didn't run his bollocks off, that team wouldn't work. So having a total midfield of Eriksen, Frankie de Jong potentially, and Bruno Fernandes, that will get eaten up by all sorts of teams in the Premier League, not just the good ones. So I think, albeit Ten Hag's a positive, I think he may have a culture shock once the league actually starts.
I agree. Yeah, it was a signing or a manager signing where they're talking about plays a certain style, gives a dynamic, which I got that to a certain element. I did understand that. Like you said, it's very different from the Eredivisie, and also it's completely a different level of football club. He's got that media exposure to get used to, etc. I think he is just in for a culture shock all round. I really, really do. At the same time, it fascinates me, the stuff that's been coming out, Guy. Ten Hag implements discipline like a football manager's not supposed to do that. Do you know what I mean? When all the players are saying we've been made to run, we've been made to so I can't remember who it was. We've been made to turn up to meetings on time. I think that shows you just how bad the culture is was at Manchester United. Still a lot to do. So honestly, they're almost car crash telly to watch, and there will be some moments this year, and I guarantee you, bet any money you want on this guy, at some point by October, them moody Norwich scarves are coming out. I promise you. They will be. They'll be waving them. They'll be complaining. It's just going to be funny.
I think they'll be there on the first day, to be honest. They're upset. I agree with the Glazers that the Glazers are bad owners, but you can't really do much more than offer $500,000 a week to a player. That doesn't really fit the MO. But they are bad owners.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't think you can complain for them putting the money up for a player who they're clearly desperate to sign but just doesn't want to go. But anything before we go, Dave?
No, do you know what, though? You kind of signposted at the start. We are moving into crazy territory, aren't we? The big thing you'll see is, after that first game of the season, some players are going to pick up knocks. It's not going to go well. You move into panic territory, don't you? If your club doesn't do well those first few weeks, there's always a few that panic in the guy. So there's still a bit of time to go, but the panicking will start over the next few weeks, so it's ones to watch.
That's the thing. I think that's what the Premier League's known for. Even managers coming out and saying, we're not ready for the Premier League, and Marco Silva, I think Scott Parker, etc. So I think up and down the table, it'll be a mad one, whereas we are a Liverpool podcast. It might be outgoings and maybe some youngsters or something like that, but it's going to be quiet for us. We'll be sat on our armchairs watching it's not Jim White anymore, but we'll be watching not Jim White on the last day whilst everyone else is having a mental one. But that is it for this week. I'm not sure if it'll be Trev and Dave next week, but if it's me, I'll be back then. But I'm sure Dave will be either way. Where Chelsea have signed 700 players, Man City have spent 150 mil, and United still haven't got Frankie de Jong. Thank you for listening. Goodbye.
We hope you enjoyed listening to this Anfield Index show. Please be sure to subscribe to our channel so future podcasts find their way to your device automatically. There's nothing quite like fan engagement, and we'd love to know what you think of anything discussed on this show. The best way to get in touch is over on our free Discord community, where both podcasters and listeners debate the hottest LFC topics 24/7. Sign up free now at AnfieldIndex.com/Discord. You won't regret it. You can also follow us on Twitter at Anfield Index and find us on Facebook by searching for Anfield Index. Oh, and before you go, we'd love it if you could leave us a 5-star review on your favourite podcast app. It only takes a couple of seconds, and it means the world to the people who create these free shows.